Hi there. My name is Joni. I am the owner of Yoga and You Anywhere, and I'm here to bring a course that is designed to help you to connect with mind, body, and spirit. This course is 8 segments, and each of the courses or each of the segments focus on being able to bring your attention to your mind and your awareness to your body and your breath, which is also known as your life force, and so your spirit, being able to connect with the awareness while we are breathing deeply allows us to find a little stillness, a little peace. And it is one of the most challenging things for so many of us to do. Connecting with our bodies, being able to have an accurate body awareness is also a huge challenge. In the nearly 2 decades that I've been teaching, one of my most favorite things to do is to help beginners get that idea, to even help people who've been practicing a long time start to resituate their focus on their practice, to become better aligned, to become more inclined to dive a little bit deeper, to discover why some poses work some days and some days they don't. Sometimes it's the shoes we're wearing, sometimes it's the stuff we're going through. And it's important for us to be able to connect with that part of ourselves, to be able to be real with ourselves so we can be more real as we enter out into the world. One of my biggest goals is to help people feel comfortable in their own skin, as that is a big goal for myself as well. And I feel like that is part of what I am here to help you do. So the course is designed around 3 classes. You are encouraged to practice 3 times a week, at least 11 minutes each time. This 11-minute segment that you take out of your day is meant to help you start a routine. I believe that healthy habits help heal. That is one of my mottos. And when we build on healthy habits, we can start to create more in our lives. But it takes the process of actually getting it done or getting it started. And it often helps if we have a buddy system of some sort. So if you have a friend that is willing to do this with you, then that will help you to stay in that spot of the desire to make that change for yourself. Okay, so that is part of that, the 33 minutes that we build up to each week, starting with that 11 minutes. And each of those segments get to be kind of whatever you want it to be. The course is designed to give you different tools, mind, body, spirit tools. So each segment will go over a chakra. The following 7 segments. And in the chakra discussion portion of the section, we will go over, what the chakra is, what kind of energy it has. Then there is a designed flow for each of the chakras and a designed mantra and breath work for each of the chakras. So all of these are just different tools that you can utilize for your 11 minutes. You get to decide what you want to do in those 11 minutes. Some days you might want a little bit more movement. Some days you might want a little bit more relaxation and not a whole lot of movement. And being able to sit with your breath and just sit in stillness, we all tend to find that as a huge challenge. So this is for you as much as it is for me. We will get started with the first segment. The first segment is on our sun salutation. So I will go through each of these segments and show you the flow, show you each of the poses for the flow, and describe how they're meant to be done, show you how to do them, show you what the flow looks like, and then I'll also show you what the flow looks like with the suggested mantra song to use. I have picked a number of songs by the band Beautiful Chorus, and I find these to be a lovely addition to my practice. The mantra songs repeat the same phrases over and over again that really help you to kind of dive in to their meaning of being able to stay connected to you, to be able to release the things that aren't serving you, to be able to believe in the power that you have within you to make the changes that you want. So that is one of the reasons that I'm using these songs. The first segment of this course is going to be just that foundation, that base to start on. And you don't actually have to go any further if you don't want, you know. So this is a course that I'm just putting out here for you all, and I am going to get it, you know, going. Today is the first one. And as I get it going, I hope to, you know, get input from you and what you're looking for as I finish these. Maybe there will be more. So the first segment, as I already said, is the foundation. Now the foundation is the sun salutation. So I'll be going through those shortly, the different poses that we do in our sun salutation, describing how to do them, and then showing you what they look like, and then going through the song with you in the flow so you can see how that looks as well. One of the most important things to remember is that you don't have to stick to this specific song. After you learn the sun salutation, you can pick a song of your choosing that speaks to you, and that can be how you start your practice. And maybe that's what you do for a long period of time before you even check out another video, right? So there's so many ways to make this work for you, and I hope that you enjoy. We are going to get started, so I'm going to say thank you so much for joining today, and here we go. Hi again, Joni back to bring you the first segment of our course. The first segment is all about surrender. So we go through the foundation of our sun salutations, and the theme is surrender because it does take a good bit of understanding within yourself that you are ready to let go and to make some changes. We all tend to want to start new hobbies for ourselves, or new things that are good for us, right? New routines. And we all find trouble in doing those things. And we all want to let go of negative things, of negative hobbies, of habits, you know, that we want to break. And we all find challenges in those things as well. The reasoning behind those is that we tend to get the challenge itself lies in the breaking and the change. The change is more challenging than the norm because the change is different. And anytime we come into that change, it makes our whole body feel a little weird, and it makes everything a little bit more. You know, people say that they don't have time for meditation, and, you know, it only takes a couple of minutes. It can start with 1 minute of mindful breathing a day. And so that's what I'm here to help you with. I am here to help you start that foundation of surrender, even if it is only a minute a day, even if you don't get to the 11 minutes that's suggested in this course 3 times a week. Maybe you just start with a couple. Maybe you just start with 10 mindful breaths, and whoa, let's see how that goes. You know, be proud of yourself and hold compassion for yourself as you are working through this. So the whole idea behind surrender, and why this is the foundation or the theme of this course that I'm creating, is from a book that I read a long while back called The Seat of the Soul. Seat, like sitting down. It's by Gary Zukov, and I remember when I first listened to the book, because I like to listen to a lot of books, and I like to read too. It's just easier sometimes to listen, right? I remember thinking to myself that it really spoke very heavily to me, a lot of the things in the book. I always take what I like and then kind of, you know, not take everything out of other people's opinions or perceptions, because sometimes things speak to me and sometimes they don't. And that's what I encourage you to do here. In The Seat of the Soul, it talks about reverence, and how whenever we live with a reverence within us, then we are able to live with more peace, because we respect ourselves, we respect the people around us, we respect the world. And the more that we allow ourselves to connect with that part of ourselves, in my opinion, and from what I've learned, I find more peace. And it doesn't mean that it's always here, but it does mean that it makes it a little bit easier for me to appreciate the magic of the world, to appreciate the beautiful blue skies and the nice little wind that I might get on this hot summer day while I'm sitting outside bringing this to you all. And so that is the reason of this theme. As I said, you know, the rest of the segments are going to go through our chakra system, so we'll go a little bit deeper into that. Right now, I'm going to go ahead and get started by teaching you the mindful breath that we will be working on. So in all of our segments, we can use this breath, or we can use some of the other breaths that will come into the fold as well. Whenever we are coming into a yoga practice, the Ujjayi breath is one of the most common ones that you'll hear. And the Ujjayi breath is you act like you're trying to fog up a mirror. You say, and that feeling that you get in the back of the throat is going to be what you're wanting to bring in to your practice. So when we breathe in and out through the nose and we hold on to that idea of the breath, it might sound a little weird at first. Sometimes people will say it sounds like Darth Vader or like waterfalls. And so be mindful that whenever you notice that's happening, it's probably a little too heavy. You actually want to make it as quiet as you can and as deep as you can. And again, as you're practicing the breath, be mindful that you don't have to force yourself to make your breath longer, okay? It will happen gradually. Allow it to happen gradually. If you try to force it, it could create like some anxiety within you. So be mindful of not forcing yourself in any of the things that we do in any of the segments of this course. So working with me, I'm going to tell you to take a hand over your heart center and work towards allowing yourself to sit nice and tall. Now, you don't have to sit with your legs crossed. In all honesty, if you are sitting with your legs crossed, right, and you find yourself sitting like this, then already you are kind of not as aligned as I would suggest you would be if you were in like one of my classes, like physically here, right? I would try to get you up on a block, or I would end up pulling you up into a chair. So be mindful that it's okay. It doesn't have to look the same, right? None of us are going to look the same whenever we're really allowing ourselves to focus on what our alignment is. We try to align the shoulders over the hips, the ears over the shoulders. We try to root down through the sits bones and reach up through the crown of the head. And as you take a hand over your heart, allow yourself to just feel the breath. Just don't worry about anything else yet. Breathe in and out through your mouth, however's natural for you, and allow yourself to just notice what happens. Notice how maybe the shoulders lift, right? A lot of times, a lot of us do that. And notice if your head starts tilting forward. Well, a lot of times that's just a natural inclination for us because that's what our body has been trained. That's how our body has been trained to hold itself. And we're retraining our bodies whenever we're coming into that mind-body awareness to be able to find more connection with the awareness of our alignment. And in time, that becomes natural. In time, it doesn't feel awkward. And if it does feel awkward to sit like this, and you do need to take a break, and you do need to kind of sit back a little bit, be mindful that that's okay too. Okay? So now I'm going to start telling you to breathe in and out through your nose, and remember that sensation. You may or may not be able to hear me now. I am trying to be a little bit louder so you can. And remember what I said. So whenever you get the idea of what it is, then you want to make the breath as quiet as possible while still being able to feel that sensation. All right. Now, as we work through this together, the breath is so important. As we learn the poses, it's important to recognize that we are holding the poses, how we are holding the poses, before we can allow the breath to truly come in and do what it's meant to do, which is help us move in and out of the poses. And it can be a challenge, especially for those of us that might be a little bit more what's the word that I'm looking for? Jerky in our movements. We might not feel like we move very gracefully. Have patience with yourself, right? It comes in time, and maybe it doesn't look the same way as others. Remember that as well. One of my most favorite descriptions of a class that I taught a long time ago is someone practicing a tree pose, which you'll learn later on if you don't know what it is now, and bringing the arms up. Their arms are going like this because they're having issues balancing. But it looked like a tree in the wind, and they were still holding themselves up, and it was how they were able to do it. So allow yourself to utilize your body, your awareness of what feels good. As long as you're not like falling, then you are along with the practice. As long as you're able to breathe when you're there and you're not getting stuck in, am I doing this right? Is this how it's, because you will get there as we go through it, okay? So we're going to get started now with our sun salutation breakdown, and then we'll go through that together. The encouragement is to look up the song that I suggested, which is a beautiful chorus song, and it is Please Prepare Me. This song is beautiful for me specifically. Is one of the reasons that I love it is because the wording in it is please prepare me, so that way I am ready to take on whatever the world gives, and I can be my most authentic self, and I can be filled with light and love, and I can use that to help me stay in peace, to help me make the right decisions, to help me see with clearer eyes versus allowing myself to get caught up in all of the external stuff, which totally still happens, by the way. So don't think that one song's going to help you not do that. It is a constant practice, but we will get started. So I'm going to get standing and get ready to show you the sun salutations. Thank you. Hi again. Ready to get started with our sun salutations. So the sun salutation is a wonderful tool to have because it sends you through so many different movements. It helps to warm up your body, and it really utilizes so many of your muscles that it's really beneficial to bring into anybody's practice. There are modifications that we can do, and I will go through some of those as we're going through the practice to show you some of those. And this can also be done in a chair. So that might be like a later video that I post and maybe show you how to do it from a chair standpoint. If that's something that some people are finding an interest in, please let me know, because that will help me to get it on here for you quicker. Okay, so in the beginning of our practice, we all stand in our mountain pose, right? We spread out the toes and we work towards balancing weight on all four corners of the feet. Now, if you don't know what it feels like to balance weight on the balls of the feet, then are you going to be able to balance weight evenly on all four corners? So I always like to encourage people to take the weight to the balls of their feet, to notice the muscles that engage when they do so. And then also be mindful for the next segment to bend the knees and to prepare yourself, because I don't want you to fall. When you go to push weight to the heels of the feet, notice the muscles that engage there, right? And then take weight to the outer edges of the feet. Notice the muscles that engage when you work towards standing nice and tall. And then take weight back to the inside of the feet, right? So that way you can notice the muscles that engage here. Then when we are ready, we spread out those toes again. The feet are going to be hip width apart. Notice that a lot of times people step a little bit too far apart. So to tell if you're hip width apart, take those hands right on top of those hip bones pointing downward, and then you can look down at the legs. Now, one of the energies, now this is just energetically, the energy you put in the bottom of the feet is though you're trying to separate them apart from each other. So when you are taking the feet hip width apart and you put that energy into the bottom of the feet, this is going to help align the leg bones just a little bit more for you, to help you engage just a little bit more. From here, we allow ourselves to come up a little bit higher. So now we're at those hips. A lot of times people will push the hip point forward, and then sometimes people will kind of tuck in, and that's kind of how we stand. Now, when that's how we've been conditioned, or how we've conditioned our body to stand, that's going to feel kind of natural, right? So when we start to bring ourselves back into an actual alignment, it might not feel that great in the beginning. It might feel kind of awkward. Be mindful of that. One of the greatest tools that I had was in a Pilates training that I did, and this is supposed to be a bar coming out from the front and the back side of the body. Now, if you're able to look into a mirror, if you're tilted one way or tilted the other, then the bar is going to be uneven, but you want the bar to be even, so that way you could potentially hold a glass of water on either side of it and it's not going to tip over, right? So allow yourself to look in the mirror, if you have one available, and be able to really see how that's aligned right here. From the bottom of our feet through all the way up, remember we're sending that energy through the bottom of the feet, we're pulling the belly in and up from the bottom of the pelvic floor, right? And then we're allowing ourselves to create space from the hips to the ribs. So now we're just getting a little bit more length in here. And then we're going to take the arms down. The fingertips reach towards the ground, but the shoulders aren't like sagging down. The shoulder blades are actually slightly pulling towards each other, as the outside of the shoulders are actually pushing out. So a good cue here that I've learned is to think as though you're inside of a door frame. and you can actually almost feel like you're growing outward into the door frame. And then the crown of the head reaches up as the ears align over the shoulders. So see, all of these different things, all of these different cues are for your mountain pose. And it's not like you have to think about every single one of them every time you come back to mountain, but it is a beneficial tool to help you get started, to help you get grounded. So if your practice just consists of you standing in mountain and breathing, maybe that is what it consists of, because standing in mountain engaged is quite a challenge. All right, so we come here, spread out the toes, getting yourself grounded on all four corners of the feet, remembering the cues, allowing yourself to reach up through the crown of the head, allowing yourself to breathe in and out through the nose. I'll take 3 deep breaths with you here. Just allow yourself to feel that engagement. Nice deep inhale. And exhale. Exhale. And one more. Exhale. All right. The next pose that comes into our sun salutation is arms raising up and a forward fold. So I always like to tell people to remember, when we're reaching the arms up, don't let the hips push forward, right? Keep the hips right over, keep your mountain legs going on. Keep your mountain legs strong. As we reach up, we don't have to have an arch in our back. A lot of times people will try to get the arch, and then the hips, that's when the hips will go forward. So be mindful that the arms can just reach up. And if that's a little bit uncomfortable, then don't let the arms go. And then it can also go out and up. So there's all kinds of different ways that you can allow yourself to find what feels good for you each day. I like to reach my arms forward enough if I have that space available, and I do like to have that arch in my back. Now, if you do go for the arch in the back, notice that you stay grounded through those legs, right? And then as you go to fold forward, either way, you're gonna pull the belly in and allow yourself to fold forward. Now, when you go to fold forward, most of the time everybody wants to get down here, right? Or really, I'll be realistic, a lot of people are more like right here, right? And that's totally okay, but the downside here is your back is already rounded out. So we wanna allow ourselves to lift up and then come down with a long back, keeping the legs soft, softening the knees more as we need to, finding that nice long back, right? Maybe we don't come all the way down, or we do, and then we find that long back again, okay? So we take a nice deep inhale, reach it up. Exhale, forward fold. And then we inhale, long back. Working towards keeping the back long before we go into our plank position. Okay, so that is the first few movements of our flow. Now in our plank position, we're gonna come down. So here I am. Inhale, long back, exhale to plank position, all right? Now in our plank position, I am always encouraging, if your hips are too high, that's much better than them being too low, all right? Keeping the body active here, we can always come down to the knees. Now, the plank position is softening the elbows. The inside of the elbows are going to face each other, and the elbows are slightly soft. If we lock the elbows, notice what happens. Notice how now the inside of my elbows are facing you. So that's gonna actually lock the elbows and make it challenging for my arm muscles to do what they need to do to support my body as I'm learning how to do plank. So be mindful of that as we're working through that. The palms of the hands, so I'm gonna show you on the knees first, right? The palms of the hands are pulling towards the knees. So I'm pulling back here. That's gonna help to keep my shoulders down away from my ears. And I'm pressing firmly into all of my fingers, the palms and heels of my hands, right? As I try to keep my hips from sagging down, right? So that is part of the process. If I'm on my balls of my feet, same concept. I'm pulling the balls of my feet towards the heels of my hands, and the heels of my hands towards the balls of my feet, as I'm drawing my tailbone down, squeezing the back of the legs up, and trying to get it to where I can lower those hips enough to where they're in line with my shoulders versus sagging down, right? So that's our plank pose. Plank pose is always very challenging. Be mindful that it's totally okay to go down to your knees. Be mindful that you want to be able to breathe in and out through the nose as you're doing that plank pose. and be thankful that in a sun salutation, you actually only have to hold it for like a moment. So unless you're trying to build it up, which I also suggest learning how to do, it's a little bit easier, right? So as we come into our plank position, the next one is our chaturanga. Now our chaturanga, the hands and the feet are a little bit different, right? So remember, pulling towards each other. And then when I come into my chaturanga, I'm pushing away, right, with my hands. So I always start people on the knees here, or I tell you to come all the way down to the belly if you're not certain whether or not you're doing it right, or if you're kind of confused, because the elbows go towards the space behind you and the body leans forward. And so sometimes people will come out to the side, right? And that's not necessarily wrong if you know how to do a push-up, but when we're working through our chaturanga, that's it. Like we pull the body towards each other and then we push away to kind of come all the way down. And then you can come all the way down, right? You can come all the way down to the ground, and then you can lift up into your upward facing dog from here. Now again, note, you don't want to lock the elbows. You want to keep them slightly soft. Note, you don't want to lift the shoulders up to your ears. You really want to draw them down. You want to open the heart and draw the shoulder blades towards each other, keeping the top of the feet glued. And then you come into your downward dog. Now, downward dog is another real fun one because it can be really hard. As we go to extend our arms over our heads, that can be very challenging. A lot of us try to get the heels all the way down to the ground and then end up tucking our tailbone because of it. So the suggestion is to always keep those knees bent until you know for sure that you have the flexibility to lengthen out the legs. All right, so taking the balls of the feet, think that you're trying to drag them to the back edge of the mat. This will help to keep the hips lifted. Okay, the palms of the hands in your downward dog are soft, or not soft, sorry. The palms of the hands spread out wide. Palms of the hands are pulling towards each other slightly, and then extending up, right? Now, when I draw the palms of my hands towards each other, it's going to help create a little bit of space. Notice what happens in my shoulder joint. So that way I might be able to extend those arms a little bit higher. Now, if you can't extend the arms all the way up, that's okay too. Soften the knees a little bit more. Typically, the cue is to keep the ears in line with the biceps, okay? So that's the cues for your downward dog. Now, we've worked through each of these poses of the sun salutation. After the downward dog, you work towards stepping forward, coming back into that nice long back, right? Stepping forward, coming back into the nice long back, exhaling to fold down, inhaling to come back up. Again, with that nice rooted foundation of our mountain legs. And as we come back up, we reach up, and then we come back to center. We come back to our original mountain pose. And so it goes through this cycle of these poses to give us mindful meditation, you know, and so that is part of the process. That is going to be what we do next. We're going to go through it together. I'm going to go through it 3 times with you, with giving you the cues, and then I'm going to do another segment where I put my earphones on and show you what it looks like when I'm following along with the song. And I encourage you to do that with me as well. Be mindful that your breath is so important. So make sure that you're breathing in and out through the nose. Work towards building the breath. When I am going through the actual segment of the mantra song, most of the time, if I'm not too heated like I am after trying to demonstrate everything for you, then I'm able to breathe in and out in one mantra segment. And I'll explain that a little bit more when we get there. So let's hop back on the mat and do our 3 sun salutations together. Hello. Thank you for joining me as we go through our sun salutations. Here, I will help guide you by cueing you with the inhale and the exhale. Allowing yourself to learn this process of where those happen will help to facilitate it actually happening for you in the future. But have compassion for yourself if it feels like you're breathing more, or if you have to take a couple of breaks throughout the process. Always come down to those knees if you need to, and I'll guide you in to do that as well. So we'll spread out the toes at the front of our mat, getting ourselves situated into our mountain pose, all 4 corners of both of those feet, reaching the crown of the head up. Allow yourself to take 3 deep breaths here. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Get rooted deeper with each breath. Inhale. Exhale, stronger in the legs. Next inhale, we rise the arms or raise the arms. Exhale, forward fold. Remember to pull the belly in and to soften the knees as far down as you can go. Inhale, long back. Remember, it helps to look in a mirror for the first few times you are trying to learn how to do this. Exhale, plank position, stepping back with the feet. Right? Remember, you can come down to those knees, elbows to the back as we come all the way down. You don't have to come all the way down. If you've learned it a little bit more, inhale to lift. Keep those elbows slightly soft. Exhale, downward facing dog. 3 deep breaths here. This is where you can always come down to the knees if you find that you're a little out of breath from your practice, learning how to hold these poses. To be aligned, to be aware. Deep inhale. Exhale, 2. Inhale. Exhale, softening the knees. Look towards the thumbs. Inhale, stepping forward as far as you can. And it's okay if you need to get a couple of blocks, or if you need to hike your foot, or if you need to take multiple steps. Coming forward to that forward fold, right? Inhale, long back, and then exhale down. Inhale, forward and up, and exhale back to mountain. 3 deep breaths here. Exhale, 2. Exhale, 3. Raise the arms, inhale. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, long back. Exhale, plank. Chaturanga. Inhale, lift. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale. Exhale, 3. You can pedal the feet here. You can nod the head yes and shake the head no. Exhale, 2. Exhale, soften the knees. Inhale, step the feet forward, long back. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, forward and up. Exhale, back to center. One more time, nice deep inhale, reach. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, long back. Exhale, plank. Chaturanga. Inhale, lift. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale. Exhale, 3. Inhale. Exhale, 2. Exhale, soften the knees. Inhale, step the feet forward, long back, forward fold, forward and up, and back to center, back to that mountain pose, allowing yourself to breathe deeply here. Notice for the first 2 cycles, we took 3 breaths in between in our mountain pose. So that's another thing that you get to do in your practice. You can choose to take longer breaths. You can choose to come down to that child's pose when you're in down dog and take 5 deep breaths. And that can be your whole practice, going through a few sun salutations and a few child's poses and a few mountain poses with more intention. I hope that that helped. The next segment is going to be me moving through the song with you. So I'll have headphones on and I'm not going to really be talking. I don't know for sure actually. Maybe I will be talking. We'll see. Hello again. This is the part of our first segment of the course where I do the flow with you with the song in my ears. So when I start, I listen to the first segment and then I start on the second one. So you'll notice that I get ready in my mountain pose. I wait for the second. I say chorus, but it's a mantra. So I wait for the second round of the mantra to start, and then I go through my sun salutations through the duration of the song, and I allow myself to take 11 minutes. Remember, that is the process. 11 minutes, allowing yourself to go through the song, allowing yourself to focus on your breath as you're setting, and allowing that practice, that routine, that habit to start forming for yourself, building on that 11 minutes, because I believe that that can facilitate you taking that time to put this as a priority for yourself. All right, so we're going to get started. I'm going to put my earphones on. I hope you enjoy. Thank you so much for joining today. I hope that you appreciated the breakdown and the gentle flow of sun salutations with me, allowing yourself to recognize that you can take a flow into all kinds of other poses, but you can also keep it very basic to begin your practice and to really initiate a new routine for you that will be beneficial, to help you connect with mind, body, spirit, to help you feel more peace, to help you do something good for you. I hope that you enjoyed. I would love feedback as I am working on bringing this course to you. I thank you again for joining today. Namaste.